Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. This is a common or more common phrase I've been hearing when in discussions with people trying to understand different structural ideologies. And, when in, especially around systemic racism and ideas like this and gender and this, there's a phrase that goes, it's not my job to educate you. It's not my job to educate you. I struggle with this one a bit. I think they're right. It's not necessarily their job. We're not paying them. Yet someone has an idea, and at some point, most likely they did not have that idea, right? Because that's generally how it works. Then ideas don't just pop in. They generally are informed from previous other ideas, and so forth. So at some point, this person was educated in a way. Right? They were taught. And now they're saying, well, sorry, it's not my job to educate you, even though somebody educated me. No, you have to figure it out yourself. Well, it would seem to be more helpful if I have. I mean, that's partly what these projects are about, sharing education. I'm not trying to educate you. I'm trying to share ideas and create more of an understanding of what are we actually saying and doing in this world. But I could see how that could fall under education in a way, and not like in a I know more, but it's sharing information. So yeah, I could see that, and therefore these are educational. And it's not my job to educate you by any means, but I'm happy to be in conversation and try to figure out what the hell are we actually talking about here, right? What are we talking about? What are we saying? What are we thinking? What are we doing? All that sort of stuff. So I disagree slightly with this person's response, because how could we expect to be in conversation with anyone if we don't actually know what we're saying? And if we are thinking differently and we want our idea to get across, well, I would go so far as to say it's almost our job. And there's another word besides job. It's our responsibility to educate people, because we want them to know, right? Because we believe it so much so. And so when we say, well, it's not my job to educate you, super, super ego, super, it's a great way of also being like, well, I don't really have enough information. And therefore, instead of me saying, well, I don't really know, I say, oh, it's not my job. I passed the buck somewhere else. Therefore, I don't have to actually do it. Um, and then that's fine. I just want to call it out and say, well, if you have information, it it is your responsibility to educate people if you want them to know it and if you want to talk about it. If you don't want them to know it, then it's not. But then don't expect them to have any idea about it. Don't expect your ideas to be right because you haven't actually shared that with people. And you also haven't allowed people to say, well, I hear you, but let's go more, let's discuss more, which actually allows for greater conversation. It also allows us to understand more and say, well, maybe what I took to be this was the case isn't the case, and now I see more. But the fact of the matter is, most people don't want that. They want to stick within their comfort zone of being right and of being secure, even if they're not, because that brings them some sense of support and safety. And that's all. That's all fine. We want to bypass. We want to ignore it. That's totally fine. It keeps us safe. Just call it that, and don't say, "Well, it's not my job to educate you," because, again, if we want to be in communication with people, we have to be in a similar plane to understand each other. Otherwise, we are ships passing in the night, right? So if that's the case, it's very important to say, hey, wait a minute, we're a little high, you're a little low, so that we get there. So as always, in a fun way, my version of fun, of reframing and re-understanding what it is and how it is we are communicating and living in this world, being in this world. And I hope it provides a little bit of contemplation, insight, inquiry, all that stuff. Anyways, I look forward to hearing back. Send comments, send whatever you'd like. I'm here for you, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.